Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to round 3 of 9 here for SCG Regionals. I'm your host, Andrew Donnelly. With me, back in the booth, my co-host, Matt Dow. Let's get into the action. Who do we got sitting down for round 3? Is that Peter Tragos?
Indeed, we have Peter Tragos there on the right. He'll be playing Sultai Control, which we saw, in round 1, piloted by Dan Carton. And then on the left will be Kyle Freris. Once again, if I butchered your name, sorry.
Playing Jeskai Tokens, though.
Yeah, Jeskai Tokens. So a deck we haven't seen yet today. So players are going to roll the dice to get ready, and we'll get underway. So I think in this matchup, I like Kyle in game 1.
Yeah.
Looking at Peter's list, I don't know. Actually, his deck might. I didn't see he was playing Courser of Krufix in it right now. That card actually seems pretty good against this tokens deck. Peter also has 3 Sultai Charms as a main deck enchantment removal for Jeskai Ascendancy. So actually, I kind of like Peter in this matchup. One Monastery Mentor there in Kyle's deck for you.
There we go. Finally, we're going to see some play.
Yeah. So Peter on the play, and he's going to take a mulligan down to 6 there. Kyle's going to keep his
Kyle on the play, I believe.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Keep mulligan for
Keep mulligan, all right. Ooh, another spicy one for you, man.
What do we got?
You and Kyle are going to be friends after this game.
Is he playing what I think he is?
He's playing Monastery Siege.
Yep.
Card you like, and he's playing Monastery Mentor.
So that both the white picks.
Yeah. Well, Monastery is the blue one.
Oh, you're right. Monastery Siege is the blue one. Correct. So, but still, okay. Maybe that we haven't gone over blue, so I could have that in my blue pick. Did we do? Oh, we did. No, I had Clever Impersonator and.
Yeah. So Kyle's going to play a Temple of Triumph, and he's going to keep on top there. Peter going to play a Temple of his own. Debating whether or not to keep this. Looks like Peter has some lands in hand, but he's going to choose to keep that. Mystic Monastery for Kyle. Peter going to play a Seder Wayfinder on turn 2. Luckily, he hit a land there and got a Yavimaya Coast. Milled to Dig Through Time, Disdainful Stroke.
Ashiok?
I believe in Ashiok.
Yeah.
So Kyle going to play a Jeskai Ascendancy on turn 3 and take a damage off his Battlefield Forge. And he's going to shift the turn back to Peter. So we'll see what Peter can do outside of beat for 1.
Which isn't a bad plan.
So there's a Yavimaya Coast that he's
Courser.
Going to play a Courser, reveal a Hero's Downfall on top. So not exactly what Peter is looking for, I don't think. Hero's Downfall not all that great against the tokens deck. 1-for-1 removal, not exactly the greatest. So
this is an interesting a Courser coming out of the Sultai Control list. That's something new to me.
Yeah, it's I don't think Gerard had any in him, and I know he was the guy who popularized this deck. But yeah, Peter only playing 2 board wipes and 2 Crux of Fate, so I think it's a little bit better when you start cutting back on like board wipes.
Sure.
So Kyle gonna cast a Hordling Outburst there, trigger, discard an additional land, and looks like he was ready to take Goblin tokens out of his pocket, but no, sir, we have those for you.
Nice help for our staff there on this side, keeping track of life totals and relaying the Goblin tokens.
Indeed. Doing yeoman's work over there. We really need him. So Peter going to reveal a Temple of Malady off the top. He's going to put into play and trigger Courser, reveal another land. So Peter looking in good shape for hitting his land drops. And he does have a Crux of Fate in his hand, but right now that would just be Peter would 3-for-1 himself if he was to cast it on this board. So Peter really would like to find a Jeskai Charm or a Bile Blight. I mean a Sultai Charm or a Bile Blight, so you can either take care of these tokens or take care of the Jeskai Ascendancy. But right now he doesn't even have double black mana up, so Cal is pretty free to do pretty much whatever he pleases.
Is there any permission in Peter's hand? Do we have a dispel or?
Peter is only playing 2 Disdainful Strokes.
Okay.
So and one of them got milled, so I'd imagine not. So Kyle's going to attack in here with 3 goblins. Peter choosing to block with his Courser of Krufix and block another one with his Seder Wayfinder. Peter's going to Lightning Strike the Courser of Krufix, which is untap his guys, trigger Ascendancy, and then loot, which is kind of interesting. I thought he had a Wild Slash in his hand, but checking his deck list, he's actually not playing any of those, so makes sense that he would cast a Lightning Strike on the Courser to trade with a token in that case. Continues to ship lands to the bottom, so I wonder. Looks like he's going to follow up here with a Seeker of the Way, which going to play right into Peter's plan to untap and cast Crux of Fate.
I like that.
Choosing non-dragons, I believe. None of
I would hope so.
dragons. Yep. You're asking, does this resolve? Kyle's saying, well, let me think about it. I might have a stubborn now. We know he doesn't, so his guys are going to die. Peter looking to stabilize the board here. Kyle has 2 cards in hand. One a Hordling Outburst, so he can rebuild a little, and another a Lightning Strike. Choosing to crack the fetch land here, thin his deck out a little bit. No real risk there of losing a life or trying to wait till you find a brainstorm or anything like that.
Talk about a way to, really rebuild the board in these Jeskai decks is Hordling Outburst. That card has just been a standout card in this standard format.
Yeah, it's been great, especially with a Jeskai Ascendancy.
Yeah, Stoke the Flames. You couldn't have asked for a better card to be printed.
No. Stoke the Flames and Hordling Outburst, the
together.
Synergy between that is just it's bonkers.
Yeah.
So Kyle going to take a draw step here. Unsure what he drew. Looked like it might have been another Lightning Strike. Is going to cast the Hordling Outburst that we knew he had. Interesting to see if he triggers the loot here. He will. Looks like he draws a mountain, which I imagine he'll ship. So pass back to Peter. Let's see what he can draw to handle these Goblin tokens.
And a Bile Blight seems good. A Drown in Sorrow seems okay. I can see 3 of Bile Blight in his main board there.
Yeah, he it's looking pretty good. If he can continue his land drops and then deal with these tokens, once we start getting into 7-8 mana, Peter can start casting some spells that I don't particularly think Kyle can beat. And so there is the Bile Blight.
I like that.
Sequenced correctly here in that he's playing around 2 spells. So if he did it on Peter's turn, Peter could just play 2 to 3 spells and possibly get his guys out of range. But there's the Stoke the Flames you talked about. Peter no longer has the goblins. So Peter draws a Seeker of the Way. He's going to cast that, and he has Stoke the Flames mana still up. Peter's going to end step, cast a Dig Through Time.
There you go.
Yeah, Peter definitely, I think, is starting to gain control of this game and run away with it.
Gotta love that Dig Through Time.
Yeah, and I wonder if it might have been incorrect there for after Kyle had attacked and killed Peter's board, if it was correct for him to play another threat into that, because he's running quite low on threats now. He only has this one Seeker of the Way, which I imagine after this Dig Through Time here that Peter will find an answer to. So Peter untaps. See what he draws for turn.
Does he have a Liliana in hand?
He might. He does have one in his deck. I imagine he's just going to try to find a way to kill this Seeker of the Way right here.
Boy, this would be good. Kill the Seeker, play an Ashiok seems strong.
Yeah, that would be good. Peter does have a Hero's Downfall, so it looks like he will be able to take care of this Seeker of the Way if he so chooses. Seeing if he taps, figuring out how he wants to tap. If he taps like that, well, I assume he has another land, but we'll see. It looks like he's debating whether to play. Okay, so he's going to play a Satyr Wayfinder, I imagine, here. Sure enough.
Finds the Opulent Palace.
Yep.
Or you can take the Landmar Waste, I guess. But the Opulent Palace, you want to land to at least turn on all your colors, correct?
Yeah. So takes the Opulent Palace, plays that Opulent Palace. And I've watched a lot of Satyr Wayfinder games, and I have yet to see that card miss hitting a land.
We could go back to the recorded games we have of us playing black, green. What was that deck?
Dredge?
Yeah, that was...
Oh, yeah, well, I mean, in that deck, yeah.
Oh, the Stoke? Wow.
So Peter looked like he blocked, and then and then Kyle stoked him.
I believe that's correct, life totals.
Yeah, I think so. Ooh, there's a good one.
Treasure Cruise seems good.
Treasure Cruise is really good, especially when Peter doesn't have double blue up. He was debating for a while whether or not he wanted to represent double blue or double black, and he chose to represent double black for Hero's Downfall, and Kyle was able to draw 3 cards off Treasure Cruise. Now, he still gets to loot if he wants to, I believe. No, he doesn't. Never mind, my bad. Peter gonna blow up that the Jeskai Ascendancy with the Destroy Enchantment mode of Sultai Charm.
Like it.
That is pretty good for Peter, after, especially after Kyle just discarded one to a Ascendancy trigger.
So now Peter's really got the mana to kind of push this Sultai controlled list where it needs to be, right? We can start playing our Ashiok, we can keep mana up for removal spells.
Yeah, he just needs to find one of those spells. Plays the Hero's Downfall there to clear up the board, and then going to sit behind 4 mana. Kyle finds another Jeskai Ascendancy.
Wow.
So we'll see if Peter has a response to this. I don't think he has any counter magic in his hand. Like I said, he's not playing Dissolve or anything like that. So no, he's just going to end step cast Dig Through Time and probably hope to find another Sultai Charm, take care of that Ascendancy, and another way to take care of the Seeker of the Way. But he's also looking for just some way that he can kill both these cards with one card. So primarily an Ugin would do it.
Ugin seems strong here. I wouldn't be upset with the Garruk if he's got Garruk in the main deck.
Yeah, it looks like he found a Garruk off the Dig Through Time. So
sure.
I imagine if there's not an Ugin in there, he's going to take that and
Garruk is a card.
Use his minus. Although I think his minus, if you use his minus, you wind up putting him in like Lightning Strike range.
Yes.
So
yep.
Let's see what Peter decides to do here.
It's interesting how weary some people are to kill the Garruk, though. Even if he's been minused and he is low, some people, it seems odd, but they don't want to remove him for whatever reason.
I don't know. I like killing planeswalkers.
Yeah, I agree. I've just been in situations where people have had that ability and just.
So Peter taps 3 and reveals a Kiora, which is also a good card against one creature.
Yeah.
As we mentioned earlier when we were talking about the when we saw Kiora earlier in the heroic deck out of this same Sultai control deck. And there is
Speak of the devil.
Peter's gonna plus. Make it so the Seeker Away is in a bubble. Can't take damage, can't deal damage. Kyle finds a Jeskai Charm there. Peter is at a precarious 11, so if Kyle can somehow string together a couple of burn spells here, a couple of 4-mana burn spells in a row, he might be able to get Peter, especially because, as we discussed earlier, Peter really doesn't have any counter magic aside from the Disdainful Stroke, one of which he's already milled. So there's a Valorous stance to take care of the Courser and trigger his Ascendancy and trigger his Seeker.
Seeker still can't do damage, though.
Can't do damage, no. Still going to be in a bubble.
So what's his one left in hand?
Yeah, he has one left in hand. So the question here for for Kyle is are you going to use this Jeskai Charm to kill the Kiora when you know there's already a Kiora on top? I think we're on the find some burn plan. See, I don't like that plan. You know he's drawing a Kiora next turn.
Yeah.
So that, and the Kiora is a dead card in his hand, with the other Kiora out. But I think we just need, our only out really is to find either a Hordeling Outburst or a way to get multiple creatures out against the Kiora, and then or just find a couple of 4 damage burn spells.
I mean, he has used a lot of his burn already.
He has, but he still has 3 Stoke the Flames left in the deck, and then another Jeskai Charm, a Lightning Strike. So there is a Liliana Vess. Peter going to tutor up. I imagine he's going to tutor for a Sultai Charm or an Ugin, some way to get rid of this Jeskai Ascendancy. Sure enough, Ugin, I believe, was the card. A way to get rid of both the Seeker and the Jeskai Ascendancy.
I really like that. The fact that a lot of these planeswalkers that haven't seen play in a while are kind of coming back to the standard scene really speaks a lot to how open it is. I mean, there are a lot of decks.
I completely agree. So Peter's going to Hero's Downfall, the Seeker of the Way, so that he doesn't lose the Liliana. And then he's going to untap and play an Ugin. And I imagine I just plus here. Just keep plussing. Our opponent has no board. If we ultimate, now our opponent has no hand. Yeah, Kyle pretty dead here. Can't Treasure Cruise would probably be his best way to get out of this.
Sure.
So, Jeskai Charm you. So put Peter to 6. So see, had we Jeskai Charmed him before instead of the Kiora, he'd be at 2, and we'd be live to top deck another burn spell. And we might die. We might have died to Kiora emblems. I didn't do the math to the Krakens, but
yeah.
So,
I mean, regardless, now you're dead to
now,
Ugin, Liliana,
right.
Kiora again. Yeah. Kiora 2.
But Ugin still has one more turn after this.
Mm-hmm.
So Peter looks like he's going to tutor and then draw a card with Kiora.
Boy, that's actually...
I think he might have sequenced that wrong, but I'm sure he's probably just shortcutting. He ticked down the Kiora first, and I'm sure he's just probably said, I'm going to tutor with Liliana, and then I'm going to draw this card. So
that is a combo I have not.
Yeah, okay, so he did not take down... I forgot that Kiora starts at 2. Man, she has no loyalty.
She has none.
Yeah.
Loyalty to no one.
Ugin goes up, nugs Kyle for 3. And Kyle would be happy to draw a Treasure Cruise here.
Yep.
So it looks like he didn't find Treasure Cruise. And Peter, I imagine, is going to ultimate Ugin here and put a bunch of permanents into play, gain a bunch of life. And, yeah, pretty much win the game.
Being a fan of just blue card draw value overall, I like that Peter is actively using his Kiora to draw cards.
Yeah.
I like how he didn't take the line there to plus it, target a land.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's irrelevant here. I mean, especially when you have Ugin.
Yeah.
Ugin's going to win you the game.
Yes.
You don't need Kiora to make you guys to win the game.
That is an Ugin ultimate.
Yeah, Ugin ultimate, Kyle's going to scoop him up. He's seen enough. So, Peter Trago's going to move to 1-0 over Jeskai tokens. And this Sultai control deck has been pretty impressive every time we've seen it on camera. Maybe Gerard Fabiano was onto something there. I know people have cut the Gerard spice. I haven't seen any Rakshasa secrets running around, which is a shame because that card is sweet.
I haven't seen the Rakshasa secret either. That's a card that I play off of the Gerard list, and it's interesting because I think the card is very good against certain decks. It definitely attacks the token, the Jeskai tokens hand. I feel like it's another card that's very good against the blue-white heroic.
Yeah, so let's move on to sideboards here. We'll start with Kyle's sideboard. He has 3 Negate, 2 Erase, 2 Arc Lightning, 2 Glare of Heresy, 3 Disdainful Strokes, 2 End Hostilities, and 1 Sark in the Dragon Speaker. So cards I like here are Negate, Disdainful Stroke, and Sarkin.
Okay.
Obviously, the Disdainful Strokes and the Negates are there to counter the cards that Peter is trying to win with, like his Planeswalkers, and then other high-index spells like Crux of Fate and Dig Through Time.
Yeah.
And then Sarkin I just like as another way to attack Peter that doesn't die to Crux of Fate.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just attack him on another axis. So you attack him with Creatures Burn and then also Planeswalkers. Cards I think that are bad. Valorous Stance, pretty bad.
Good. Yeah. What are you targeting?
Yeah, what are you targeting? I mean, you can kill some of Peter's creatures, but saving your own creatures is worth it saving a token. I mean, he's playing Mantis Riders and Rabble Masters and Mentors, but I'd rather just board them out.
Yeah.
Sorry. I actually like Monastery Siege here. It's probably a pretty decent source of card advantage.
Mm-hmm.
It's not exactly card advantage, but it's like filtering, so you get a better selection for your deck. Yeah, moving on to Peter's sideboard. He has 2 Negate, a Disdainful Stroke, 3 Thought Seizes, 1 Hero's Downfall, 2 Sulumgar, the Drifting Death, 2 Tasigur, 2 Drown in Sorrow, a Pharika's Cure, and another Kiora. Here I like probably the Negates, Sulumgar, at least one.
Are you talking about that Pug Dragon?
The Pug Dragon?
The Pug Dragon's
Yeah.
going to come in.
It's pretty good against the token deck, I
He's pretty
imagine. Drown in Sorrow, I think, is also pretty good against the token deck.
Yeah.
Farika's Cure, I think, is also probably pretty good against the Seeker of the Ways that you saw, and I think Peter is probably going to expect that his opponent is also playing some 3-drop that has 2 toughness, whether it's Monastery Mentor or Goblin Ramblemaster. And then Negates just interact really well with what Kyle is doing. He's trying to cast Whirling Outbursts, Burn Spells.
Well, they're definitely, I think, better than the Disdainful Strokes that Peter has main board, correct? So we can kind of remove the Disdainful
Yeah, I
Strokes
would
and
imagine
just play the Negates instead?
Sure. And then I can see an argument to be made for Thoughtseize also.
I too actually think Thoughtseize is very good. My worry though is Peter got very low, so
Sure.
1 or 2 Thoughtseizes. Granted, if you're maybe targeting the burn, you know.
Yeah, but you still get to Thoughtseize them and take their good cards.
Sure.
I still like
filter.
it, and I don't like Hero's Downfall in this matchup. I'm taking those out. Probably
Yeah.
just doesn't really match up well against the Raise the Alarms and Whirling Outbursts that we saw from Kyle in Game 1. So should be interesting. Sultai Charm has been pretty impressive for me when I've seen it out of these Sultai control decks.
Yeah, I like the card. Like I said, I've just recently started playing the Sultai Control list. Very similar to what Peter's running, and I think the card's phenomenal. It does a lot of things that I want it to, and it always seems to have the right mode at the right time.
Yeah, and I remember it was I think it was one of the first cons of Tarkir cards to be spoiled, and I remember when it got spoiled, people thought that the card was nuts. I mean, and then Abzan Charm got spoiled, and people were like, "Wow, maybe Abzan Charm's a little better."
Yeah.
But yeah, Sultai Charm, Abzan Charm, like definitely impressive. Being able to kill any creature and then being able to naturalize something, and also essentially draw a card.
Yep.
If you needed to draw a card at instant speed, it's really impressed me so far.
I mean, I could say I was really excited about Jeskai Charm too, but that's, I think, because I was still stuck on Azurius Charm from RTR.
Yeah.
And I love that card.
I too love that card.
It's a sweet card.
I loved wasting everybody's time playing blue-white control decks and being bad.
Yeah, that's very... So I can tell you, the one card that we haven't seen come out of these Sultai control lists that these players are playing, and it's a one-of that I play in mine, Villainous Wealth.
I don't even know what that card does.
It's very good.
So.
I suggest you read up on Villainous Wealth, because as a one-of, late game, it is very strong.
Doesn't it, like...
You pay Sultai colors,
an X,
and then you exile the top X cards of your opponent's library. You may cast any of those cards, any of those non-land cards, with converted mana cost X or less for free.
See, that's just too many words for me.
It's a lot of words.
Yeah, reading is not my forte.
It's this age's cruel ultimatum.
It actually seems pretty sweet out of these Sultai decks, although maybe a little bit too slow. But on to Game 2 here. Kyle going to lead off with the Temple of Triumph after both players kept 7. And I believe he shipped to the bottom. And fortunately for him, drew another land. Looks like he's going to crack a Flooded Strand here. I imagine going to get an island. So he'll have all 3 of his colors. Peter, on the other hand, led off with a Swamp. So a little bit far away from having all his colors. But the Tri-lands and then the Temples are pretty good at fixing mana.
Yeah, I'd be lying if I said I didn't like those things either. I mean, Opulent Palace, and if you remember any of the Shards blocks ones, I mean, they were just really, really good.
So Peter going to play a Polluted Delta. Kyle chose, looks like they shortcutted, and Kyle cast a Seeker of the Way on turn 2. Looks like he's going to curve this into a Goblin Rabblemaster, I believe, after playing a Plains.
Boy, that seems good.
So Peter, I would bet, would hope he has a removal spell here, although if he has Drown in Sorrow out of the sideboard, Kyle's not in very good shape then. So Kyle going to attack in for 3 with his Goblin token and his Seeker, and I imagine if you kept this hand, you have some way to interact with these cards.
I'm surprised we didn't see a fetch into Farika's Cure before combat on the Rabblemaster.
If you don't see that, I imagine Peter has a Drown in Sorrow.
Sure.
I can't imagine keeping a hand on the draw that can't handle a Goblin Rabblemaster on turn 3. So Peter going to fetch an island up with his Polluted Delta. He does have a Swamp in hand if he has Drown in Sorrow. Of note, he's only playing 2, so probability does go down that he has one. But like I said, I just can't imagine not keeping this hand without an answer to a Rabblemaster on turn 3.
See a land, and this is your
No, just a downfall.
Hero's downfall.
So,
Okay.
I mean, like a fine answer, but Kyle still did get a little bit of value out of it in that he still has the leftover goblin token to continue to apply pressure. Ooh, there's the Monastery Siege.
Oh man.
So
what mode will we pick?
I imagine he's going to take the cons mode,
Sure.
which is, I believe. Now the wording on this is a little funky, right? It's
I believe so.
discard first and then draw a card. Well, we're gonna do a check here on the cons half of.
So he named dragons.
He named dragons.
Correct.
So that's spells that.
Dragons is spells your opponents cast that target you or a permanent you control cost 2 more.
Okay.
So it turns you and all your creatures into pseudo frost titans.
Interesting.
Now the con step that we were speaking of was at the beginning of your draw step, draw an additional card, then discard a card.
Okay. So Peter's going to play a Satyr Wayfinder here and find 3 lands. It looks like he's going to take the Opulent Palace out of that. Yeah, why I asked that question about the Monastery Siege is because watching the coverage of GP San Jose last weekend, the Pork Bun Oath, LSV, Eric Froelich, and
Oh, sure.
LSV won a game because an opponent played Wandering Champion incorrectly, and that card says discard a card and then draw a card. And
Oh.
their opponent drew a card. They looted instead of
doing it. Interesting.
yeah.
There's
So that is drawing extra cards. So here is a Hordling Outburst. So gonna make 3 goblins here, and once again gonna attack in with our Seeker of the Way. That's now a 3/3 and our 1/1 goblin. Peter gonna block the goblin, which is pretty representative of not having Crux of Fate. But Kyle continues just to play into the face of that, and unfortunately for Kyle, I don't believe Crux of Fate targets him, so it's going to cost regular 5 mana. But Peter had the negate there for the Hordling Outburst, so snapped that one off pretty quickly.
Yeah, that's...
Yeah, I don't know if I particularly like choosing the Dragons mode here. I probably would have chose the Cons mode. I think the card filtering is probably more valuable than having Peter's targeted removal spells, which aren't very good against you anyways.
Yeah.
Be cheaper. But there's a 5 mana
Hero's
Downfall.
Wow.
So
I guess it does, in essence, and this seems bad saying it, it does in fact turn your Thought Seizes into 3 mana discard spells that make you lose 2 life, which is brutal.
Yeah, and Kyle right now in hand has a Disdainful Stroke and another land, and he's just like, he's flooding out here, so I do think the cons mode on this Monastery Siege probably
I'm going to agree with you. As much as I like the Dragons mode, I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think cons mode is...
especially against the control deck.
Yeah.
So Peter going to play a Temple of Mastery and pass it back. Kyle going to crack this fetch land to thin out his deck. A play I don't often like, but like I said, in this matchup, I don't think he's too concerned about Peter killing him. I think I'd rather not draw.
So how long has this Monastery Siege been out?
It's been out a long time.
So think about it. We could
Several
potentially
turns.
draw. Let's say we could potentially draw on 3 cards, seeing 3 extra cards from our deck
Correct.
on top of our initial draw. I like the fact that it is on draw step, though.
Yeah.
I think that's actually.
And
nice.
it's also like Peter's at 8, so had we, said discard some of these lands we drew and said drew burn spells, he'd just be dead.
Yeah.
So looks like Kyle drew a Sarkhan for the turn, and I wonder if he's pondering casting it or not into open mana. And if it's me, I probably just slam it. Kyle chooses to not cast the Sarkhan that he drew and instead pass the turn, and Peter is going to use the draw 2, discard 1 mode on Sultai Charm. So I think we've seen them all now.
Yep.
Today.
That's every mode.
There's the Drown in Sorrow for Peter.
What walker are you looking for here if you're Peter? Are you just looking for Ashiok? I mean, is that what you want to start off with?
I'm always looking for Ugin. I think he's
yeah,
the best.
near the end.
Yeah. Although he's a little far from... Actually, probably in this spot, I'm looking for just...
Oh, that's not...
downfall, well, like disdainful strokes, negates, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Stuff to protect my already precariously low life total.
Ooh.
So Peter is going to play a Courser and reveal a Bile Blight on top and play a Polluted Delta and go back up to 8 after taking a damage off of his Llanowar Waste. See what Kyle draws here. Looks like he drew another Mystic Monastery. I think now you just got to slam the Stormbreath Dragon.
Yeah.
You can even, if you want, get a little bit of value out of it and kill the Courser. But I just like slamming it and then hoping Peter has nothing.
Once again, just a really hard card to target now.
Yeah, and I guess it costs 5 mana to kill, so
yeah.
you can't Hero's Downfall it. So I imagine he's going to plus and just attack Peter. That's the wrong guy.
Whoops, there we go.
Attack Peter, and he's going to put him down to 3. Of note, Kyle still has Disdainful Stroke up. So Peter's going to crack his Polluted Delta to thin out his deck a little bit.
No life change there,
no.
Thanks to Courser. I guess Courser, even on the turn where I mentioned Ashiok, Courser is not a bad card to play just because you're trying to keep your life total
I think
above a certain amount.
Courser, I think, is definitely a better card in that spot than Ashiok. Like I said, I don't think Ashiok's even in the deck anymore.
Yeah.
So let's see what Peter can find. Looks like he is going to cast a Dig Through Time here, so but it's going to get Disdainful Stroked. Oh, that is brutal. So Peter really banking on having that Dig Through Time resolve.
Yep.
Kyle going to get him with the Disdainful Stroke. Didn't let Peter delve first though.
Still I was about to say Peter still has to choose the delve side. So
it looks like Peter drawing a bunch of blanks against this Sarkhan. I think Kyle is going to be able to take this game. He's going to go up to 4 here. Peter fetched away the Bile Blight, so he really just doesn't have an answer to this Sarkhan. I think it's probably going to kill him next turn.
So he's choosing to attack Sarkhan directly here?
No, he's going to attack Peter.
No, he's going to attack Kyle.
Show him he's got a removal spell. He's not weak. I'm going to kill you plan, not to kill Sarkhan plan. I'm going to kill that next turn.
Jeez, what does it take to kill this Sarkhan now?
Takes a Hero's Downfall for 5 mana.
Or double Bile Blight?
Double Bile Blight would do it.
Double Blight for 6?
6, yeah.
Holy cow.
No, a double Bile Blight would be 8, right?
Bile Blight's double black?
Well, it'd be double black plus 2.
Oh, you're right, plus 2. I keep thinking, for some reason I thought it was plus 1. Oh, jeez,
no, so
8.
Oh, that's
just cast your Ugin.
But Kyle going to resolve Treasure Cruise here before moving to combat. Probably in hopes that he's going to find some additional protection. Going to cast a Jeskai Ascendancy just to show Peter that he's a tough guy. He's got a lot of good cards in his hand. His deck's pretty sweet, man.
His deck is good.
These cards are still all in my deck, is what he's telling Peter right now. Yeah.
I drew these off Treasure Cruise. Look what Treasure Cruise did.
Right. And he's going to plus and blast in there. And Peter is going to die.
That's kind of what we expected. I mean, it seemed like Peter was just drawing dead there at the end. Not to mention, there wasn't anything for him to really target with his with a lot of his removal spells. I mean, he had some, but like the Bile Blights and the Drown in Sorrow, there was nothing on the field that those were affecting.
Yeah. So if I remember correctly in that game, I think Peter had spent some Heroes Downfalls on cards like Seeker of the Way.
Yeah.
And then drew Drown in Sorrows, which I assume are in the deck to deal with cards like Seeker of the Way.
Correct.
But I think that was a function of Peter's life total getting precariously low. He was at hovering around 8 life for a couple of turns while Kyle was flooding out until he found the Sarkhan there. So I think, just the amount of pressure that Kyle put on him initially in that game caused Peter to have to spend removal spells that aren't exactly super ideal to use on like cards like Seeker of the Way. And that's what cost him when he was looking for a removal spell for Sarkhan. And then he drew, Drown in Sorrows, which don't match up very well at all.
Yeah. I feel like we've seen that not just in this match today, but in earlier rounds too. Using removal almost snap. I know we saw it when Adrian Sullivan was playing earlier in round 2. There were times there where I wondered if he was using the correct removal. Granted, he had to use removal, and he didn't have access to as much as Peter did, but I mean, firing off the removal lightning fast without kind of realizing the extent to which your opponent can play certain cards, i.e. here Sarkhan in this situation, makes you wonder if you just want to double check, what am I spending? Is this the time to Drown in Sorrow, or is this the time to Bile Blight? Is this the time to cast a Disdainful Stroke or Negate instead of having to Hero's Downfall a Planeswalker?
That's fair, but I mean, in that situation and in the Adrian Sullivan situation, I think both players played correctly. And like I said, Peter had to kill the Seeker because he was just gonna die to it anyways.
Yeah.
And then Adrian just has to answer Goblin Rabblemaster as soon as he can. So back to the action. Peter on the play here. He's going to play an Opulent Palace and then pass it back to Kyle, who is going to play a Temple of Triumph, and then Peter has another Opulent Palace. Kyle, another tap land. So both players pretty slow out of the gate here.
Peter turned on all his colors, though, early.
Oh, yeah, he's got it all, man.
Really good.
Well, there's a Yawamaya Coast and a Courser of Prufix,
Can't
revealing
even be mad.
a Sultai Charm.
I love it.
So I know Kyle, I saw, had a Mantis Rider in his hand, and if he has an untapped land here, which looks like he does, off this Flooded Strand, which I imagine will now go get a Plains.
This is one of my... I know you had a card earlier, I think in round 2, that you said you thought was vastly underplayed. Mantis Rider is a card I think is vastly underplayed.
Yeah, I think it's pretty good.
I like that card a lot.
It's making a comeback, I think, actually.
Yeah.
And then I think somebody top 8'd the first Fate Reforged SCG Open, which I think was in DC or something like that, with a Jeskai aggro deck, similar to the ones that were popular at the beginning of Khans of Tarkir, and that had Mantis Riders in it.
I mean, that card puts the hurt on Rabblemaster.
It's pretty good, and it's a must-answer threat here for Peter.
He's going to draw... What did he have on top?
He had a Sultai Charm on top, which doesn't line up against the Mantis
Yeah,
Riders.
no, it does not.
Multicolored. So Peter going to play the Temple of Malady that's on top of his deck off the Courser and reveal a negate. I imagine he'll leave this one on top. No, he's going to ship it because I imagine he doesn't have an answer to this Mantis Rider here. So not
hard to see what he's got in his hand.
Nope. Yeah.
Can't swing in with the Courser either.
Nope.
Oh man.
So passes back to Kyle with 3 mana open, and yeah, I just don't think that Peter has a great answer to this Mantis Rider here. So Kyle once again going to main phase, cast a Hordling Outburst, and then attack in with the Mantis Rider, putting Peter down to 15. So Kyle once again not caring about Crux of Fate.
Or leaving mana up for the negate he has in hand?
Yeah.
So we'll see the draw here.
So Peter's
Off the
going to
Sultai?
draw 2 and discard 2. Yeah. I kind of like protecting my Mantis Rider there if we have a negate. And then I don't particularly like playing into Crux of Fate, especially when we have a negate in hand.
Had that line led a little different to the Hordling Outburst, tap my guys, shoot your Courser, I could have understood that, or even potentially shoot you, but we just saw Peter pick up a Drown in Sorrow, so
Yeah.
I mean now it's...
And I think Kyle took this line so that he can cast essentially a free Stoke the Flames.
Yeah.
So, but I imagine since Peter has a Hero's Downfall on top of his deck right now, that he's just going to fire off this Drown in Sorrow to mop up these tokens, especially because he has another one in hand. The issue with that is, like, you want to still get some value off the Scry, and you know you want this card anyways.
Sure.
But I don't think you can just sit here and take chunks of damage from 2/2s.
I mean, if you're Kyle, do you stoke the Courser, or do you stoke Peter in response to the Drown in Sorrow?
I probably stoke the Courser. But it depends on what's in my hand.
It's going to gain a life. I mean, and once again, goes back to show you why Courser is still a card to be played even in these control decks.
So that's why I probably
you just want to get rid of the card.
The
and I think I'd agree with you there, even though previously I know we were talking about directing the burn to the face in case your opponent gets low.
Yeah.
But right now this card's providing him so much advantage.
Right, and had you wanted to stoke the Courser, I think the line would have been, in your draw step, draw the card, let me see what the next card on top of your deck is, and then stoke it.
And then stoke, sure.
So that he can't play a land, but you still get a little bit of information. And so Peter is going to fire off a Murderous Cut here.
Wow.
Which is pretty interesting. So
delve 2 in the yard? Delve the fetch and the Sultai Charm?
Yep. I didn't see that. And I imagine here you stoke the Courser. Peter is going to Disdainful Stroke it.
Drop it on a 15 after the fetch.
So Peter coming back from this. I think he's probably turned the corner a little bit here. He has a 2/4 that can block these 1/1s, and he unfortunately had to fetch away the Hero's Downfall.
Yeah.
But Kyle here plays a Temple of Epiphany.
This is a Magic Games folk. I can tell you right now, we can see him outside there in the feature mats area, and they are playing in the bubble.
So let's see what Kyle's follow-up here. He looked like he was going to play a spell, and then took it back. He has a Seeker of the Way in his hand, so that's what he's going to go with.
Even though he knows the Drowning Stars there, now keeping Negate mana up?
Yeah, he does have Negate up.
Okay.
Yep, and he's going to attack in for 2. Put Peter down to 13.
I'm sorry, 14 is what we're getting from the Life Judge. 1914.
So
May have missed a life gain.
yeah, Peter gonna get some more value off that Courser. Continue drawing lands essentially and gaining life.
I mean, you can't even be mad at it anymore. I mean, it's definitely put Kyle in a position now where it's made him hard to fight through the damage.
Yeah, definitely. Peter is definitely turning the corner here, especially with Drown in Sorrows in his hand. He can even just fire off two right now if he so chooses. Kyle can negate the first one, and then he can play the second one. Although I don't know if he has the second one. I think the second one I thought was Drown in Sorrows actually a murderous cut. So he's just going to choose to pass back. Not very threatened by this board, which I think is probably a wise decision.
If you're Kyle here, are you looking for a Jeskai Ascendancy?
Yeah, for sure. You're definitely looking for a Jeskai Ascendancy.
Speak of the devil, jeez. Yeah. Boy, this is a game of Magic, though. These guys are...
Which is kind of one of the reasons I don't particularly like just attacking into the Courser of Kruphix, because I think Jeskai Ascendancy is your best card and what you want to draw towards, and then you want as many guys on the field that it can pump as possible.
Sure.
So just throwing one away for 2 points of damage, I don't particularly like. So Kyle has a prowess trigger, which allows him to freely attack into this Courser, but Peter is going to stop him and going to attack. And I imagine Peter's just going to snap call, but we'll see. Nope. Chooses to take 3, go to 12. Kyle's going to go up to 21.
So Peter on the safe route wanting to keep this Courser alive.
Yep, and he's going to unstep Dig Through Time.
Love it.
It's going to get negated.
That's a good play.
But Kyle's now tapped out, and I imagine Peter's going to take this opportunity to Drown in Sorrow him.
Yeah. Wow.
Another Soul-Tie Charm.
Holy cow. The draws.
Peter looks like he's
Drown in Sorrow.
Leave it on top. Pretty well on his way to locking this one up.
Play an additional Courser. Do you get in for 2 here?
Oh yeah, for sure. What are we afraid of? Interesting that he plays the Skyline there. I guess. Yeah, I don't. I believe he has a Polluted Delta in his hand. I probably would have kept that Scry, especially when he already had Scryed from Drown in Sorrow and kept the Soul-Tie Charm on top.
Chose not to attack there, though.
No, that's questionable to me, too.
I feel like if free damage is free damage.
Yeah. If our opponent plays like a Rabble Master or something, whatever, we can just block with our other additional Courser. So Kyle drew a land for the turn, and then he cast a Hordling Outburst, looted away the land. And Peter keeps drawing gas, so revealing gas even. Draws the Soul-Tie Charm that we knew about, reveals the Negate on top. I think he's pretty well on his way to taking this one.
Wow, I like... Oh, boy. Oh. Is this the additional Drown in Sorrow he's casting here?
No, I think he's going to Soul-Tie Charm here.
Mode to kill Jeskai or draw?
Looks like he's going to draw. Peter not afraid of Jeskai Ascendancy.
Oh! There he is.
Shows us a Silumgar.
Silumgar the Drifting Death.
Yeah.
The Pug Dragon. Come on.
And I think the reason Peter not afraid, because even if our opponent does something crazy next turn, we still have these 2 Coursers to block, and we're at a pretty high life total.
The amount of life this Courser's gained is just insane.
Yeah, it's been crazy. Let's see what Peter can do to get out of this. I imagine once again his best card is a Treasure Cruise. So we shall see.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Courser was an 0-2 because of Drown in Sorrow. So
yeah, thank you. That often gets missed.
Yeah.
So Kyle's probably fearing that he is going to die anyways. He's just going to attack his goblins in. Peter calls his bluff pretty easily. I mean, Peter really can't afford to not block, and then some weird chain of events where it's like lightning strike you, lightning strike you, lightning strike you, or something crazy like that happens, and he just dies.
I mean, what we've seen before, that has happened. It happened to Noah Cohen versus Ben Sliwa, where we thought Ben was dead with 3 Jeskai Ascendancies out, and Ben proceeded to kill Noah.
Yeah. So Peter going to draw the Sulumgar, and then cast this Sulumgar, and a 3/7 that then kills all 1/1s. Pretty good against the token deck.
Now we see Peter with the straight-up attack
Yeah.
from the
When his coursers
the
have
2/4s.
power, he is interested in attacking with them.
There it is, which is the right thing to do.
Yeah. So Kyle going to go down to 17, and he's drawing pretty thin here. Really needs a good string of cards to get back in this one.
Boy, that Pug Dragon makes an appearance. Things get rough.
Yeah, especially when you're playing with a bunch of 1/1s. So
It's a raise the alarm.
Kyle going to cast a Raise the Alarm at end step. Imagine trigger is an Ascendancy. Nope. No trigger on the Ascendancy, signaling that he has a card he values in his hand. Although those Raise the Alarm tokens look pretty sad when you're facing a 6-mana dragon.
The 6-mana Pug Dragon.
Kyle once again attacking in. Peter says, "Yeah, sure, I'll call." Cool to Timmy for 2. Soon you will have no board, good sir.
I mean, Peter can fetch and just gain the life back right now. So, I mean,
That is true.
there's not, he's not really afraid to that, I don't think.
So Kyle has a land and a negate in his hand. Peter with his own negate. Gonna draw the Drown in Sorrow and reveal another card that I don't think Kyle can beat.
That's the Tassigar.
Yeah. It's gonna
Here
attack in
comes
for
the
7.
Trigger.
Get that value.
That's so good.
So Kyle's gonna take 7, go to 10.
Peter looking to wrap this one up under the clock, too.
Yeah. And Kyle gonna scoop him up.
There it is.
Peter Tragos is gonna win this game 2-0 and move to 3-0, while Kyle Ferris is going to move to 2-1. So Sultai control deck that Gerard Fabiano, played at GP Washington D.C. Still getting it done.
Yeah. Not to mention, I think that was just a quality game of Magic. I think that was one of the best rounds we've seen, definitely. I mean, both players, made right choices. Just really good Magic all around.
Yeah, it was a well played game of Magic, I felt.
Interesting match too. It was interesting to watch the tokens versus Sultai matchup, which is something I haven't seen in a while. But that was cool. Haven't seen that at F&M recently. So, all right. So we've only got 3 minutes left in round 3 of 9. So I assume we're just going to take a short break here. You can come on back. We'll get the pairings for next round for you guys, and hope you stick around. Thanks for joining us to begin with. I mean, this has been some good Magic, and there's a ton more to come. We got 6 more rounds and a cut to top 8.
Yep.
So it's going to be
Long day ahead of us.
Long day ahead of us. So stay tuned, guys. We'll be back.